Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm going to be testing For Honor on the AMD Radeon RX 470 4GB for FPS monitoring. This time I won't be using cam due to easy anti-cheat, the anti-cheat software solution this game uses that doesn't allow cam's overlay to work, so in the meantime I'll be using MSI Afterburner. So For Honor I'll do 1080p, 1440p and 4K targeting 60 and 30 frames per second. To skip to any of those sections of the video, check the description below. So first for 1080p I'm going to be targeting 60 frames per second and I get to that target pretty easily, but I had to disable dynamic reflections and a couple other minor things. Just keep in mind that multiplayer runs substantially better than this level. I'll explain that in a moment. Then I'll enable that stuff targeting lower than 60 frames per second if you want the highest quality at 1080p. Then at 1440p I targeted 60 frames per second once again at the beginning. Then I cranked up the settings to get the maximum quality and the lowest possible frame rate. And finally at 4K, in order to get 30 frames per second, I was able to use pretty much a mix between medium and low. And then I just lowered the settings a little bit in order to try and get 60 frames per second, but I will fail miserably. I'll be getting like 38 to 45 frames. And now I'm going to explain you some things about how I tested the game and about the options menu so you know how to tweak it yourself. So first of all, I need to explain to you some things. It's about the level that I chose to play at. This is the mission, the third mission of the game, and I found this one to be very demanding. I tried pretty much all maps from multiplayer, and then I played some of the campaign and I came across this level. So in the multiplayer at the best I got like 60 to 70 frames per second. So using those settings that gave me 60 to 70 frames per second. In this level in particular it gave me 40 to 45 frames per second. Only playing this level, other single player missions didn't have this issue. So this is the worst case scenario as far as I'm concerned. So I'll show you three different configurations for the frame rate. When you see 45 frames per second, 40 to 45 frames per second in this level, I'm showing you the multiplayer 60 frames per second target. So if I'm getting 45 frames per second here, I'll be getting 60s on multiplayer. That's why I show you that. Then I'll show you the 60 frames per second all the time frame rate, which will be trying to get 60s here. That will mean over 70 frames per second on multiplayer. And finally I will target 30 frames per second, which 30 frames per second here means like 40 frames per second on multiplayer. Keep in mind that consoles run at 30 frames per second too. PlayStation 4 runs it at 1080p 30 and PS4 Pro runs it at 1440p at 30 frames per second too. So keep that in mind. And things that you should lower in order to get a better frame rate. First, dynamic shadows. If you lower them from extreme to high, you get a great FPS boost, and in this game you will always get a great FPS boost by lowering dynamic shadows. Then environmental detail, I suggest playing that on medium. It decreases the amount of grass and the sky quality, but it also uses displacement mapping on high. I suggest keeping that on medium. Then ambient occlusion, I suggest using HBAO plus if you want to have any ambient occlusion at all, since MHBAO sometimes has a lower frame rate. One other thing that you should turn off right away is dynamic reflections. Just turn it off. It's a great FPS boost, especially when it's raining. On anti-aliasing, I suggest using FXAA or SMAA. TAA works fine, but it's the biggest FPS hit from all the three options. And geometric detail, you should also lower that. It's pretty much the draw distance and the quality of the meshes. From extreme to high you won't notice much of a difference while playing the game, so I suggest lowering that too. Unless you have a very high-end GPU, don't turn on super sampling anti-aliasing, that's a huge FPS hit. And the texture quality, it seems that high is enough for 2GB video cards. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Just to sum up, this map runs much worse than multiplayer. So if I have 45 frames per second here, it means 60 on multiplayer, and I target 30, 45, which is 60 on multiplayer, and 60s on single player. Anyway guys, I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
want to talk to some of these deserters. They were meant. We were going to have to fight our way out. We're on the same side!
It's you who have done this to Ashfeld! Let's dance!
Something you want to talk about?
Not yet. Vikings! Get back! This is over! It was time to remove the Viking threat.
Þetta óvinnilegur.
I need to defeat their commander.
Örverpin vilja berjast. Bardaga hóp!
After you.
Die, Blackstone dog!
Mísero! I want to talk to some of these deserters. They were members of the... We were going to have to fight our way out.
It's you who have done this!
Infesti signis et cum...
You're all a disgrace!
No superstes!
Infestis!
What has become of your oath?
Something you want to talk about?
Not yet. Vikings!
You're not getting through us!
Get back!
Sintu quadum!
This is ours! It was time to remove the Viking threat.
Odinin lankarar berjast. Getum við farið?
Leather makes terrible armor!
I need to defeat their commander.
Horfðu á mig! Óvinurinn hér! Tilbúnir! Árás! Fram á við! Ég sé þetta.
You could go back to Valkenstein, you know!
Debemos sucumber!
Gloria! Dominare eos non possumus!
I want to talk to some of these deserters. They were members. We were going to have to fight our way out.
What has become of your own?
Blackstone filth! Not the bestest!
You're not Iron Legion.
You're on the same side!